Assess the head shape before beginning the haircut. Ensure there are consistent densities and balanced bone structure. Create a high horseshoe-shaped parting. Prepare for the haircut by using clipper over comb techniques and cutting the excess length off of the head. This will guarantee that the clipper can cut with ease using freehand techniques. Work around the head, cutting across the comb. Establish the basic head shape with vertical panels and freehand to clipper over comb techniques. Create a high taper with scalp exposure using the 01 blade. The length of the sideburn is not a factor since the degree of scalp exposure begins above the sideburn. Anchor at the bottom of the vertical panel and pivot away from the head to suspension in Zone 2. Use clipper over comb techniques with the clipper comb at the top of the panel. Resolve the desired weight, scalp exposure, and ultimate shape of the first panel before moving on to the next. Around the ear, angle the clipper with a third of the blade cutting into the interior shape. With more scalp exposure, more teeth of the blade are used. With high density at the hairline, greater pressure is used against the head. With low density, less pressure is used. Cut with the freehand technique and stay anchored along the hairline. Cut freehand in Zone 1 and across the comb in Zone 2. When working with freehand, begin with the clipper anchored below the hairline. Enter with tension into the hairstream and pivot to suspension at Zone 2. Cut across the comb at the top of the panel. When available, find the guide at the side of the comb and cut into the new length. Cut for basic shape with every panel. After every few panels, assess the entire area previously cut. Ensure visual blend and correct the lines of demarcation with fanning over comb. You will find a transition area where a change in technique has occurred. Here it is where freehand changes to clipper over comb. Address this area in the initial pass with fanning over comb. Cut the entire head shape with the large clipper comb. Return later in the haircut with different tools. The ear area has an indentation at about 2 inches behind the ear. Be aware of this indentation and bone protrusion and adjust the pivot or the tension of the clipper against the head. Attend to as much of the area as possible in the first pass around the head. Revisit the area later with a change of tools to refine this isolated area. Work in vertical panels, following your guide all the way around the head. Use increased pressure at the bottom of the panel at the back of the head. Re-enter the clipper opposite the hair growth when necessary. Assess the entire surface area and refine with fanning over comb after every few panels. The occipital area requires special attention. Establish the taper low with freehand. Release the pressure on the scalp and pivot away from the head before reaching the occipital bone. Over the occipital, cut over the comb with the first pass and assess the result. Re-enter with more pressure or freehand techniques. Follow your guide technically, but assess the entire area visually. Make decisions about choice of technique and tension, and anchor pivot suspend according to what you see on the surface. Be aware of the indentation and bone protrusion behind the ear as you reach the other side of the head. Attend to as much of the area as possible in the first pass around the head. Revisit this isolated area later. Around the ear, angle the clipper with a third of the blade cutting into the interior shape. Move to vertical panels when possible. With high density at the hairline, greater pressure is used against the head. With low density, less pressure is used. Cut with the freehand technique and stay anchored along the hairline. Cut freehand in Zone 1 and across the comb in Zone 2. Resolve the desired weight, scalp exposure, and ultimate shape after creating the basic weight establishment. Refine the entire basic head shape with clipper work and the all-purpose comb and fanning. Work in the transition area found in Zone 2, where freehand changed to clipper over comb. Refine the lower areas with freehand and additional tensions against the head. Readdress the weight over the occipital bone with the all-purpose comb. pinch the comb to get more tension against the scalp. Assess the head shape for a balanced silhouette and return to freehand work if necessary. Begin the transition by creating a center part. Begin on the side where the haircut started. Work from behind the ear to the front hairline. Elevate each section straight out from the head. Connect to the guide in Zone 2 found at your fingertips. Facet to the bottom of Zone 3 and cut overhand with a shear. Work from behind the ear to the front hairline. Do not over-direct the sections back. Cut a new guide on the opposite side of the head, matching the initial guide cut in Zone 3. Work from behind the ear to the front hairline. Direct the hair straight out and facet to the bottom of Zone 3. The fingers should remain down. Cut behind the head on one side and stand in front of the head on the other. Return to the section behind the ear. Continue with vertical sections around the crown until you reach the initial guide on the opposite side of the head. Use side-to-side sections across the top of the head. Pull each section straight up. Cut the corner off the top, connecting into Zone 3. Find your guide at the top of Zone 3 on both sides. Work from the back of the head to the front hairline. Pull each section straight up. Detail the interior shape and temple with shear over comb techniques and the barber comb. Use shear over comb over the entire surface area of the haircut. Dust the ends of the hair to blend any lines of demarcation. Change the tension by working with both sides of the comb. Use the fine teeth with pressure against the scalp for ultimate scalp exposure. Work around the head in panels. Identify the isolated areas within each panel and concentrate your cutting specifically to those areas. The occipital region requires attention to create visual blend with scalp exposure. Address the isolated area behind the ear. Always keep the bottom blade stationary and parallel to the base of the comb. Work in methodical, constant motion. Keep the pace fluid with the action of the blade twice that of the comb. Address all corrections and transition area with shear over comb and the barber comb. Change combs to the all-purpose or larger clipper comb for ultimate refining with shear over comb. Use American Crew fiber for high hold with low shine. Use American Crew defining paste for medium hold with low shine. Use American Crew molding clay for high hold with medium shine. Work the product into the hair from the area of greatest density to the top.